Hello and welcome to today's session of the Teardown Sessions. Today we are welcoming back a delightful guest, Darian Johnson, who is the creator of Newt, which was a fantastic device that was successfully crowdfunded on CrowdSupply earlier this year. We're going to hear a lot more about that, and we're also going to hear about the software that he's been busy making for all the people who have supported his efforts. So before I bring him onto the stream, I'm going to do a couple of minutes just showing you what's going on at CrowdSupply for now. Okay, so currently crowdfunding, we've got this lovely PCB, lovely board macro pad called Deep Deck. Really nice designs on their silk screen, which I'm always a fan of, but it's a fully open source ESP32 macro pad with a little screen and some rotary encoders, and that's doing well with still 20 days left in the campaign. So if you're in the market for a little macro pad, I would definitely go and check that one out. Also in the macro pad world, we have currently raising funds on CrowdSupply. We have a Navi's latest piece of technology. So Leon Navi is an awesome open source hardware creator from Bulgaria who's often comes along to the stream and is genuinely a very nice person. And this is his latest piece of technology. Again, another macro pad, this time with an RP2040 and a bunch of doohickeys. So do take a look at both of those if you're in the market for a macro pad, which I actually am as well. I don't know which I'm going to get, but I will get one. Also crowdfunding now, we've got Espoir, which is a fully open source, again, ESP32, we're noticing a theme at the moment. It's a power over Ethernet board with all sorts of interesting features. So if you're interested in IoT and PoE, or any of the other acronyms that relate to those fields, you can go along and support this project. Only just launched, 34 days left, so plenty of time to get in on that one. I wanted to highlight a few things that we've got coming soon as well, because we've got a few fun things. This is a delightful project that I've seen in person. It's the Pocket Integrator. There's this guy, Mikkel. He has reverse engineered the very popular Pocket Operator set of synthesizers and drum machines. And he's made an add-on board that's compatible with it. And you can then play your Pocket Operator like a maraca. So it's using a little accelerometer in there. Really, really fun little device. So if you like your Pocket Operator, take a look at that. That's coming soon. Also another fun piece of creative tech, also quite local. This is from some people in Seattle. This is Quadrant, which is an open source hand tracking. If you remember like the Leap Motion, it's a similar situation to that, but open source as well. And these are really nice people. Met them at the Hardware Happy Hour in Seattle. So do support them for when they launch. I know they're working hard on making a really great version of that for us. And finally, I wanted to give a little bit of love to glow stitch LEDs, which are made by a delightful hacker called Steph Piper in Australia. And these are machine sewable micro LED strips, so you can sew straight through them. They're made on flex PCBs. Great for cosplay, great for people who want to experiment with LEDs on clothing or on fabrics. Great for, they have a they're going to have like a teacher set and everything as well. And her documentation is delicious, as well as her PCBs. So I would deeply recommend you, if you're this sort of a thing that interests you, I would go along and check that out. Yeah, Steph Piper's glow stitch LEDs. All right, that's a sneak peek of what we've got going on here at CrowdSupply. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on my guest, Darian Johnson. Hi, Darian. How are you?
I'm great, Helen. Thank you for inviting me back. I'm very excited to be here.
Are you kidding? It's always delightful to talk to you. In fact, we were like a minute late to the stream because we were already jawing away to each other and backstage. Yes. So that's great. So if you're joining us, please do give us a shout out in the comments section. We read all of your comments and we try and get to all of your questions, and it makes us feel like we're less alone. So please do pipe up, say where you're from, give us all of your burning questions, or tell Darian how amazing the hardware is that he's created. Yes. So we like the comments, and we also like the compliments, please. So without any more kerfuffle, please, Darian, can you introduce yourselves to the peoples?
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Darian Johnson. I am a technology consultant by day, so I spend my days and some nights and some weekends working for a large company, providing technology, consulting, support, guidance, et cetera, By night and by weekend, I am a hacker maker, and I've been doing this for, I don't know, oh gosh, maybe 7 years now, but have ramped up a lot. I'd say the last 3 years. Primarily, the area I play is in connected things, internet connected things, whether it's the Newt, which is a smart device, or a composting system that tracks compost and sends data back and forth, or things like that. That's where I play.
Yeah, amazing. And so let's see who's joining us here before we move on to a bunch of questions, because I know we've got lots of exciting things to say. But Tom Fox is here saying, hi, Darian, here to support you and Newt.
Yes, love Tom.
He also says, Darian is amazing responsive, absolutely, and which is great.
I'll tell a story about Tom as we go.
Good. I'm looking forward to hearing it. Matt from Newgard Audio is joining us again from Katy, Texas. Hello, Matt. Thank you for joining us again. Always nice to see you. I'm happy you come back. I'm glad you'll enjoy it. And then here we go. Leon's in the stream, Leon Anavi, who is currently crowdfunding for his macro pad. Oh, you're in Grenoble in France at the moment. You're not in Bulgaria. Well, I hope you're having a nice time in La France. And of course, we'll support you. Guillaume Friere says, I have a wireless macro pad project. Can I have a crowdfunding as well? Of course, all the macro pads, but only if they're ESP32 or RP2040. Like, all other chips are banned at the moment, apparently. or you can't find them. But yeah, of course, if it's open source, you're free to submit it. John Jackson is here in the house. He says he's sitting here with my updated Newt.
Updated, awesome.
Yes, we
Always
love it.
Good.
And Tom says mine is right here too.
All right.
John Jackson says the NTP time displayed on my Newt generally matches my 2 GPS-driven Nixie clocks. Ooh, we're going to need some more details on that, please, John. That would be awesome. Oh, and look who just turned up. Hello, Jovan. Nice to see you. That's OddJ on Twitter. And if you're not following him, you absolutely should go and smash that follow button there, because he's always doing some really amazing projects. So thank you for joining us. You are just on time. We've just started. We're getting into the meat of it now. So, Darian, do we want to start off by talking a little bit about the Newt? Now,
let's talk about Newt.
Yeah, you talk about the Newt. I'll bring up the screen with it on. Let me just change the thing. You can. I tell you what. Let me spotlight you and bring up the screen. You can tell people about the Newt.
Got it. We'll do. And I will. This is my second time on the Teardown session. And
you're a pro now.
Well, I watched part of the last one and I had to turn it off because my hands were like, I was.
I never rewatch myself.
So it was just So I'm going to be focused and stay kind of in my box. Anyway, so let's talk about Newt. So Newt is a ESP32S2 powered smart display. It uses a sharp memory and pixel display, and it allows a user to set and handle a set of tasks without being connected to the internet, but it also connects to the internet to provide data or quotes or weather or UV information or riddles or et cetera, et cetera. Something that I built because I wanted to build a low power display that could sit on a refrigerator or my dry erase board in my office and keep the time and keep a timer and set an alarm and just do something different. Didn't see much like it with this display out there, at least nothing to buy. So I made it, put it out on Crowd Supply, and we were successful. So it launched in the summer. We met and exceeded our goal. We've gotten them out to all the users. We are getting feedback, enhancements, some bugs, lots of discussion on our board. We're continuing to send updates out. We're continuing to make changes, and it's been great. Like I've loved it. I've loved kind of building this new community and hearing from people and getting their feedback and some criticism and a lot of love, depending on the day and the time. But that is new. So I rambled a little bit, but like if I miss it, like that's like we're Helen scrolling. That's Newt. And if you don't have your Newt, they still have some in stock, so you can go and get some. I'm going to throw
Not
this.
Not too many though. They are selling.
They're selling pretty good.
Yeah. I've got a Newt. I haven't got the new firmware on it though yet. But after this session, I'm definitely going
Well, we will talk about that new firmware. we will
yeah, we will. So where do we want to start? We've given an introduction to Newt. Did you want to dive straight into the code base? Do we want to talk about how manufacturing went? Do you want to talk about data acquisition? Like what? Jeez. Like I know there's all these things I really want to ask you, but like what's your where do you want to start?
You know, let's talk about it from a timeline perspective first, and then I'll go into the code. So we launched Newt in. I love how I say we. Like we is like we is me.
The royal we.
We, right? Yeah. But we launched Newt in the summer, and I was not prepared for the positive feedback and the questions. Like I thought I did an okay job with some documentation. I had a GitHub with the code, and we'll go there in a second. But Tom, who is the first guy who probably yes, it's one of my GitHubs. Yes, Tom sends me an email and he's asking these questions. I'm like, I need to do a better job probably of making sure people know where to get stuff. So then it should be there some. Oh, you know what? I know why, because it's under my Phambili thing. So it's under a different link. That's why. So which I can find here in a second.
There we are.
Yeah.
All right. I'll
maybe or Phambili tech. If not, I can share. I certainly have it up.
I'll do. I'll find it and then bring it up. Oh yeah, it's Phambili tech, isn't it?
Yes. And I was like, well, geez, I need to have some place to get feedback. So he and I emailed back and forth, and then we started logging issues, and we started using discussion. So using kind of the GitHub issues and discussions feature, and that's where we start to get a lot of feedback. And the discussion board is where we've gotten, I'd say, most of the recommendations that were just rolled into the latest release. So we just rolled out, the next kind of minor version, 1.1.0. I think we're at 1.1.3 now. Rolled that out. Yes, Newt display, that first one. That is.
Here we are, yeah. And for those of you who want to navigate to the GitHub, It is Phambili-tech. There we are.
Yes. So we always had our code out there, but if you click on that discussion tab, that is where like the magic happens. Wow. So we have a very active community of people throwing out ideas.
Right.
I'm providing feedback. We do screenshots. I do some mock-ups. Sometimes it's almost too much. Like there's too many ideas, which is sometimes a bit of a problem. But it's been good. And that's primarily how we've evolved Newt. And in that. I guess I'll talk next. So let me first start by saying, if you are thinking about doing a hardware open source project that has a heavy software component, get your GitHub house in order, have a discussion board, have an issues board, and be ready to go. Because I was not ready day one.
I could not agree more. Yes. I could not agree more. You should write that up.
Yes, do it right now. I was not ready. I'm still probably not ready. I'm learning things about this every day from the community, but it's been great.
Of course, but that's the whole point of the community, right?
And I'd say most of the changes that we released in this latest version were based off of the discussion. Like there were some bug fixes, but a lot of it was feedback. Hey, Darian, why do you only show time in 12-hour format? I'm like, because everybody uses 12-hour format. I'm like, no, everybody doesn't use 12-hour format. Hey, you're showing my temperature in Celsius, which is what everyone in my country uses, but I want to switch to Fahrenheit. Hey, I want more weather information. Hey, I want to switch to invert the colors of the screen. Like, all these things ended up becoming discussions that ended up rolling into the last release.
Wait, so you can invert the screen now?
Yes, you can invert the screen. You can invert the screen now.
There's dark mode.
Well, there's dark mode, and there's an auto switch. So it should switch it if you want. To be fair, I know there's a bug for that.
How does that affect the battery life? Does it affect the battery life a lot?
It does not. It does not. It does not. It doesn't yet, based off of my testing, but I don't know. Well, I haven't seen any impact yet. So.
We'll come back to this. We'll come back to this bit because I really want to talk about APIs with you, but I didn't want to interrupt you. And wait, let's have it. I've been scrolling through your GitHub and not looking at any of the comments. Can I? Let's take a little break to see what.
Let's take a break.
See what the people are saying.
Yeah.
All right. Let me come back to this screen then. All right, so we've got Andy Piper who's joined us saying hi.
Yes.
Happy Newt customer.
Another active Newt customer. Yes, the Newt
Yeah.
community is showing up and showing out. I love it.
We like it. We like it. And then it says he's also a happy and Navi customer, so that's great. And Leon says, "Oh, come on, don't be shy. Your previous appearance on the Teardown Sessions was awesome. I enjoyed it. I highly agree. You're one of my favorite guests ever. Like, you're just so fun. So we had a great time talking.
Yes,
so, like, so don't worry about the hand waving. We all like it. We were allowed to wave as much as you want. Andy Piper says GitHub discussion is great. And that you definitely need the latest firmware for Newt. There's some very nice enhancements.
Well, and a lot of that was, I mean, Andy made a lot of recommendations. Tom made a lot of recommendations. Like the community's been awesome in its feedback.
I agree. So, and Andy says it's so cool to see the ways that community feedback was incorporated.
Well, you almost feel guilty, right? Maybe I'm the only one. Like you build this thing and you sell it and you're like, well, I got this code. I feel like if there's a problem, I should maybe I should do something with it. Like, I don't know. Like, I almost feel guilty to do it. I like it, but it's also, there's a level of like waking up in the morning and looking at my GitHub notifications. Did somebody say anything last night?
You're getting a little bit like addicted to looking at GitHub. Yes. What have they said? And Andy Piper has also said, Tom says, too many ideas are not the problem. Prioritization is.
Prioritization and memory, right? There's only so much space on the chip. So, yeah. Absolutely.
And then we've got a new person who says, hi, Darian. Larry White is in the house as well. So you've got your whole crew in the house, huh?
So it's funny. So Larry, we work for the same company. We've met each other in real life, but I didn't know he was a maker till I think he commented on something you made. You said, actually.
Oh, no way.
And I was like, dude, how do you know this person? And he's like, well, I do this thing. I'm like, dude, I do this thing. How have we sat next to each other and never talked about us doing this thing? So anyway,
that's super awesome. I've had that moment with long-term friends, and I've seen an Arduino on their shelf, and I'm like, hold on, wait, what? Exactly. Hold on, we swim in the same waters, huh? Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. All right, so lots of people here sharing some love for you. That's great. So should we talk about, we've talked a little bit about discussion and how you've been taking on board your community suggestions and managing that through the GitHub discussion feature. Is it too early to skip onto APIs? Because I really want to talk to you about data.
No, it is not. And we can do a couple of things. Do you want me to, I'm going to share the same stuff because the information's there. Do you want me to share it, or do you want to share it?
Why don't you give us a tour? Why don't you share your screen, because you know where you're clicking.
I know where I'm clicking. Yes, I do know where I'm clicking. At least I think I know where I'm clicking. Give me a second. Let me hit the present, and I'm just going to share this whole. Oh, well, I can't do that. Oh no. I forgot to do the thing. Let me see.
It's okay. It's a live stream. It doesn't have to work first time.
I know.
My camera cut out last week because I forgot to charge the battery, so. Are you going to SuperCon by any chance?
I don't think so.
Next year, then.
Yes.
Yeah. This is still like an in-between year, I think, for events.
It is. It's a little weird. Okay.
I'm gonna go, but still, but hang out outdoors, I think.
Right. Am I sharing anything? Are you seeing?
You are not sharing anything.
All right then, and I'm gonna try
I've got no things.
You got no things.
I've got no things from you. Yeah.
Let's try one more thing.
You should be able to click present and then choose your window.
I did. Now maybe.
Did it do it?
It did. It told me I was sharing. Now I feel like a failure.
It is not there. You're not a failure. How about you just we can do it together. You can just tell me where to click. How about that?
I will tell. We will do that. So I will. Shame on me for next time. So now I need to test the sharing functions next time.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. All right, where do you want me to click?
If you can go up to the wiki.
I can do that. Yeah.
And I'm going to put my glasses on. Maybe.
Yeah, me too. Actually,
There we go.
I need it to see the words on the screen. Long-sighted.
Yes.
Yeah.
So first off, this wiki, again, thank you, community, for giving me feedback on documentation. We're trying to make this one place the place for stuff. because I had some stuff here, I had some stuff on the Phambili website, I had some stuff on the CrowdSupply website, and it was just hard to keep everything in sync. So this is now kind of our place. This is where you go to learn how to set it up, how to power up the Newt, what the battery options are, et cetera, et cetera. So that has been good. So
documentation is so difficult as well, and getting it all in one place. So
it's kind of like,
don't think about it as it's just as difficult and time consuming as creating the hardware, explaining it to people, and
the thing is with hardware, like it doesn't work because you mistype a variable or you type something incorrectly. Like I'm not the best. Like if God wanted us to, God gave us spell check, so we wouldn't know how to spell stuff. Like that's kind of where I am. So I'm certain there are typos and mistakes, but I do the best I can. Anyway, so we documented all this stuff here. But if you go under APIs and that overview, right, this first picture kind of explains how Newt works. So Newt, in the simplest level, like it's a device that allows you to set alarms and timers, and you can do have a habit calendar. You can, I think there are 3 or 4 other functions that are independent of the internet. However, if you want to connect to the internet and get data, we've kind of set up a 3 kind of hub system. There's a device, which is almost like a dumb terminal for internet connected stuff. Then there's a central broker, it's an MQTT broker, and that passes messages between Newt and what I'm calling the Newt cloud. The Newt cloud is just a fancy term for a set of Node.js scripts that are in the AWS cloud, so serverless cloud. And in that Newt cloud is where I streamline and consolidate data. So, for example, when I pull weather data, I pull back multiple days of weather, and then I parse that JSON into the smallest units, smallest amount of data possible to send to that Newt, because I want to minimize the number of stuff, the number of days, the number of records, the number of whatever. So that's what that Newt cloud does. So if I'm making a weather call, in this case I use Apple Weather for weather. Boys and girls, I don't know if you realize that Apple has a weather API now, which again the community told me about. Because we were struggling to find it. We were struggling to find. I was struggling to find a new weather API for reasons. Someone said, "Hey, Apple just released one." Anyway, that being said, so in this case, if I'm looking for weather, the Newt will make a call via the MQTT broker to the Newt cloud, and it will say, "I want weather," and then that weather will send off the Newt ID. It will send off all forecasts. And then it will return these pieces of information, right? It will turn the temperature, the air pressure, the visibility, the cloud cover, the UV index, the humidity, and it does it both for your hourly weather as well as your daily weather, as well as your current weather. So, and I shared this because I want users to know that if you want to take the weather function that I wrote in Newt and modify it to get additional information or do something different, this is all the information that's available to you today. And maybe tomorrow we'll have more fields and more data, but this is what you can always expect in your Newt call.
All right. And so you find the API from Apple, you've done these things. And what are the other APIs that you're using?
A couple of different ones.
And I'm quite curious to know, what protocols you're using, and what the, how you've managed to use all the different, I can see on the behind you, you've got a big list of things.
Oh, that's right.
On your whiteboard.
I forgot about that. I was like, oh yeah. Then I got totally sidetracked. So look, let's do this. So let's nerd out for a second, guys. I'm going to do my best to get all the terms right. I am a hobbyist maker. I am not they do not pay me to be an embedded software engineer, boys and girls. So if I get something wrong, do not at me in the comments. But at a high level, when the Newt boots up, the first thing it does is that it makes an HTTPS call to the Newt cloud, and it sends over the IP address of the device. So then the Newt cloud will take that IP address. It will call. I think the API is from Big Data Query, or in fact, I got it written down. Let me look, because I always forget this one. It is Big Data. Yes, Big Data. Big Data Cloud. Calls Big Data Cloud, and it returns your location based off that IP address. So it says, for me, I send an IP address that says I'm in Dallas, Texas. It says my latitude is blank blank, my longitude is blank blank, and my default unit of measure is imperial, and my default temperature reading is in Fahrenheit. So that's how I get my default values. It also passes along the connection string to the Newt cloud over MQTT. So I make that first HTTPS call. That's a get call, no, it's a post call that pulls that information, and everything else goes to the broker. And then the broker will then use that that connection string to the that's been passed along to make a request for weather, or make a request for UV index, or make a request for riddles, or for quotes, or whatever. And that's typically how it works. So it's as simple as that. And then after that initial boot, everything's via the MQTT broker. And we do it that way because two reasons. Number one, MQTT is much more lightweight than an HTTPS call. And I think I can just get the data faster and better. More importantly, I have a hypothesis.
I'm all ears.
Yes, I have a hypothesis that at some point, the next version of Newt, or maybe there's no next version of Newt, but somebody else says, I want to make a better version of Newt, or whatever else. They will use a chip that is that's able to connect much more, just to have the ability to stay connected to the internet while staying low power. And if they're doing that, they have to use MQTT, because it's going to expect it's going to be subscribed, it's going to expect the pullback. So to make a long story short, I'm future building the code with the assumption that at some point, Newt or whatever thing somebody builds will always be looking, expecting a message, a subscribed message to come through by MQTT. So nerding out, kind of hashtag nerd out over.
No, that was fantastic. I really enjoyed that. I've got a couple of some interesting information from the comment. So Andy Piper says that Apple weather equals dark sky. So they acquired dark sky.
They acquired dark sky. Yes.
API is from.
They acquired dark sky and then told everyone they can't use dark sky anymore. Because I actually had the APIs that use that a few years ago. Yes.
And here
Very
it is.
Dark day.
Here it is. Now you're doing Apple weather instead.
Exactly.
Dark days for dark sky. We've also got Timon in the house, who's the Crowd Supply creator, creator of Punera. So hi there, Timon. Nice to see you. And he says, nice that you can use it from any device like this. And then an admission: when I first received my Newt, I may have done some MQTT snooping before all the docs were out.
Yes.
So I think that's okay, isn't it?
That is more than okay. That is more than okay.
That makes me happy to hear. And then we've got a request from Tom saying it would be great to go through a workflow of adding information and displays to Newt. Interesting. If we get time.
Well, yeah, we can talk a little bit about that, because that's a problem. We've got a set of problems that we're trying to solve, and that is one of them.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that now while the question's up?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's do this, Helen. Can you go to the code section?
Yes, I can. I can do that. Where do you want me to click?
In examples.
Whoop. Here we go.
And then click on Newt. So there's two examples. There's a hello world example that we've created so people can kind of understand. But then this is the true code base that's working. And if you look at it, what I tried to do is create.
Which one do you want me to click on? Just
no, you don't have to click on any of them right now. I just wanted to give everybody an example of just like this is like each function has its own .h file, kind of has its own header file and its own information. So there's the alarm function, there's kind of the buttons, there are global functions, there's a habit display, there's the main display, there's a settings display, there's yada 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 yada. So these are all things that will be familiar with anyone who uses Newt. If you touch on the menu at the bottom, it'll correspond to one of those screens. Ideally, there would be a way for Tom to create a tom.h file that's customized for what he wants to do, and have a way for that to fit into the menu and it show up. The problem is right now that requires him to get this code, compile the code, make sure it works, yada yada yada. So one of the questions we put on the GitHub discussion is, are there any ideas on maybe a different way to do this? An idea that we have to explore is maybe using CircuitPython.
Ooh, very popular nowadays.
So the thought being that if you because CircuitPython, compiles real time,
Mm-hmm.
you could write the code in a way that Tom could write his other function, drag it, and then it will automatically find it and do the thing. So I got to think through that a little bit more. The challenge is when we use a lot of the native ESP32 functionality that's exposed in Arduino, and that's not exposed in CircuitPython yet. So then,
I was going to ask what the code base is like for
yeah,
ESP32 and CircuitPython, because I know you can use it, of course, but I don't know what what the compatibility is like.
It doesn't expose. There are certain functions that we use that are not exposed yet, and either I gotta write it or I gotta beg someone else to write it. We'll see. So it's the idea. If I had unlimited funds, I would just pay somebody to do it. I would just say, buddy, I want you to write an Arduino, like a really good Arduino version of this. I want you to write a really good CircuitPython version of this.
Because I think, they're not completely separate communities, but they do address different types of people.
Yes.
For certain reasons. Tom replied, he's very excited about the idea of Python.
Hey man, it's open source. Everything's on the go. It's wide open. It'd be interesting. It's just right now. It's a limited time, right? So do I want to focus on fixing bugs and adding new functionality? Do I want to switch the code base?
That was going to be my question, actually. What your priorities are. I mean, going back to what Tom said earlier, too many ideas are not the problem. Prioritization is, of course. I mean, and particularly with a community project like this, everyone's going to be having ideas, and it's like
everyone's got an idea.
Where do you focus? Where do you focus?
It's certainly bug fixing is number one, right? You're tired. Hey, come on. Yeah, exactly, Tom. Come on, do
the newest Newt developer.
Exactly.
Just
we could really be a Plea, right? Maybe we becomes a we for real.
You're the CircuitPython guy. You're going to make this happen. I love to see it.
Defects is the number one thing. Right? I say I spend most of my time solving defects. So there are one or two major defects that are that cause problems. And one is, some of you will see it. It's called the loop of death, and it's when the Newt just gets stuck in this restart. But it happens intermittently. It doesn't happen for every user. So we are struggling to solve that problem, but I've got some test code that I'm working on this weekend. And then, I think the other thing is adding more, making it more secure and adding more functionality. And here's kind of the other task that I've given the community to go solve. There is a desire to add, I'd say user specific information, your Google Calendar, your Fitbit stats, your to-do list from your smart device. I won't say her name because she's on and she'll start asking questions.
Well, exactly. She's very nosy, isn't she?
Very nosy. But then how do you do that and still keep it secure? So you've probably got to create, some people create an app, people create a website. You've now got to create this OAuth, authentication against those services. It just becomes a very complicated thing, but it's a thing that the community is probably asking more than anything else. So we got to figure that out. Yeah. So anyone who's on, there's a discussion board about all this. Feel free to log your ideas in that discussion board, and we'd love to hear them. How do you add items without recompiling? And then how do you add these kind of user specific, what's the best way to allow a user to add kind of user specific or get user specific data and still keep it secure?
And this is such an important question as well, particularly with IoT things. It's thinking about how to keep it secure and how to keep people's data private. And
that's the thing.
It's a whole can of worms.
I purposely wrote Newt in a way that I would never know whose Newt was sending information.
Good.
There's some information I need to know. I kind of need to save some information. So each Newt has a unique ID that I use to save information, but I don't know if it's Tom's, or yours, Helen, or mine. But that, bad people can do really bad things if you don't understand what the code's doing, right?
Absolutely.
If I allowed your, access to your Google Calendar, well, now I can save your events. Now, if I could save your events, or I could publish them, or I could not make them secure. And I don't need that stress in my life. So I just want to figure out a secure way to do it where I have, no information about your personal life. So anyway.
That's good. All right, we've got a couple more comments I think are really interesting here. So Andy Piper said, we have myself and Matt Trentini from the MicroPython community, big up MicroPython, interested in building a MicroPython setup for the Newt. Just need to pull the libraries together. That's why I bought 2.
He did buy 2.
Amazing. Yes. Great news. And John Jackson says, I sat in an expressive DevCon 22 presentation by Limor Fried about CircuitPython. Oh, I haven't seen that. I've got to go and look it up. Very compelling rationale on quick turnaround development using that. Lots of interest during the Q&A. Yeah, interesting. And then Andy Piper says, I think having the option of the default firmware for most users and alternative builds if you're ready for different tinkering is good. Absolutely. And then, yeah, again, massive advantage of open hardware and the crowd supply proclamation of user rights. Yeah, that's true. We do, at crowd supply, we're very worried about security and privacy. In fact, we recently, earlier this year, we actually removed Google Analytics from the whole crowd supply website. I know, which Mauser hate. But we don't have Google Analytics on crowd supply at all anymore. We're very conscious of
how are you then like how are you like
we don't track
you don't that's how
we
you
don't
do
track
you
we don't track anything. We're just like if it's selling or not, you know. That's our key performance indicator is has it sold copies, you know, is it selling? But we don't know, like we don't know like what our click-through rate is. We don't put tracking on our newsletter, we don't put tracking on our website. It's a big deal for us.
That's a huge deal.
You know, like our first big campaign was Bunny Huang's open laptop, and loads of our users and loads of our creators work specifically within that security and privacy space. So, like for us to be tracking all of our users, like it seems a bit off, right? So yeah, not a lot of people know that.
You brought up Bunny real quick. I'm going to say something. So the other thing that's been really like. Guys, like if you were thinking about building something and you could build it and you want to do it, like build it, don't be afraid, and you know, and see if crowd supply will support it. Because I think outside of just building this, like Bunny and I have exchanged a couple of messages. Like, his precursor, am I pronouncing that right? The precursor?
Yeah, exactly.
He uses a larger version of a sharp memory display. And he's building a custom one with a backlight. I didn't realize it either. And I'm like, hey dude, like I was, you know, maybe if I build another one, maybe I use this larger display. Can we talk about it a little bit? And we just sent 1 or 2 messages back. We aren't like, I don't know if a sharp display is right for Newt if I build a larger version, but it was just, it's cool that like I can be like, hey, I saw you on crowd supply, and I'm this dude, you don't know me, but I did this in crowd supply too. And he's like, hey dude, like, yeah. So anyway.
It's a really nice community, and actually within the creators of crowd supply, there is quite a lot of cross-pollination and people helping each other out. I mean, so for example, like Timon, who's here on the stream, he did like the design for the Glasgow case. And Bunny Huang also found the FPGAs for the upcoming Thunderscope, which has been on hold for ages because, you know, FPGAs you have to like murder somebody basically. But you know, there is cross-pollination between the different creators, and it's, you know, open source hardware creators, it's not like a giant world, right? Like it's not like open source software, you know, it's still a smaller pool, right? So there's a lot of camaraderie between people who are making open source. I mean, you already talked about how you're conversing with Joey. So Joey Castillo, also a crowd supply creator, made the Sensor Watch, which is the Casio watch hacking board. Delightful product. But yeah, there's a lot of cross-pollination. So yeah, it's nice to hear that you've also been a recipient of that from Bunny.
Yeah, no, it's been good. It's been
a legend.
I mean, it's a little intimidating. Like this is
You're
not
telling
my
me. I know. I know.
Hey, you don't know me. Hey friend. But no, it's good. It's good.
Yeah, I agree. Super fun. Oh yeah, and the case for Luna. I'd forgotten about that one. Yeah, that's true. So Timon did the case for Glasgow and Una. Absolutely great. I'm pretty curious about the precursor. I read Bunny's book when I was on holiday earlier this year. Really interesting. Yeah, the precursor. Andy, if you've not come across the talk by Bunny, that predates the precursor, when it was still a project called Betrusted, there's an amazing CCC Congress talk by Bunny Huang about basically the attack vectors on hardware, and how open source hardware really helps ameliorate some of the attack vectors. So it's really worth looking at. And also, if you are interested in this type of thing, I had Colin O'Flynn, who's a very famous hardware hacker, on the stream, I think 3 weeks ago now. And towards the end of our session, he had a lot of really interesting things to say about the future of hardware security and how open source fits into that, but also about where the industry is at now, which is, people like Bunny and Colin O'Flynn and like a lot of other people are trying to say, look, open source hardware is much more secure, but industry has not quite caught up yet. So if that's something you're interested in, do check out Bunny's talk, but also Colin O'Flynn's stream from a few weeks ago. There we are. Sorry for that little segue there.
No.
So we've talked about APIs. We've talked about how you're getting data. We've talked about your discussion board. So something I wanted to talk about again is about getting feedback from the community in advance, because I know that you've been releasing some code to beta users.
Yes.
It was released openly to your.
I love the. Is it Welsh?
It's Welsh.
Beta.
Yeah, beta.
Beta.
All right.
Beta. It sounds so much better when you say it. But no, I mean, it's been I mean, the first couple of software releases were hot patches, and I just kind of pushed them out, and I realized that maybe, hey DBJ, if I say DBJ is me, guys, I talk in the third person a little bit, right? So hey Darian, maybe you should have some other people look at this code and check that it's okay before you push it to the world. And again, the community has been really good. So I created a beta version, figured out a way to make that available. I put it in, I think in the discussion board, I listed like, hey, beta version of something's available. And I probably deleted that by now because now it's live, but I published it, got feedback, made changes. And then again, you saw some of the screens where we did mock-ups. Like we just, I think everything that's been in the release, every new feature that's been in the release has been something we've discussed on the discussion board.
So you've handled all of this and all of this community management through just the discussions.
Through the discussion board, yeah.
And also the beta testers, you found them and talked to them just on this discussions tab.
Oh, just on the discussion board. And I some people will send email to me, but I'm like, guys, just put it on the board. That way other people can chime in and provide feedback. And even when there's like, for example, someone said, I'd love to know when the Newt is dying. I'm like, hey buddy, like I don't have a fuel gauge on it. I have an indicator that goes high or low when the battery hits a certain threshold. But hey man, I built it in a chip shortage, and I couldn't find any fuel gauges. He's like, well, hey Darian, why don't you do this instead? Instead, if you can't tell me the percentage is at, just tell me how long it's been running. Like tell me the number of days since the last charge. And that way I will know. And then over time, I'll know when it is. Like that's a great idea. I never even thought about it that way. I will. That's on the roadmap. We'll see. We'll see when it makes it in. But
here we are. Tom saying I'm all in on being a beta tester.
Yes, and Tom was Tom was one of the testers. Andy was one of the testers. Like the community, like it's amazing. Like this little mini community that we've kind of built around this. And
it's fantastic. Guys. And where did you find these people? Just through bye, Andy's dropping off. Bye Andy. Thanks for coming in, and thanks for your questions.
No, people wanting, like people buying the Newt and saying, hey, I've got some thoughts. I found the thing, and I'm like hardware guys just kind of find like they just
so you find them from it's all your customers who came to you through the campaign.
Yes.
Interesting.
There have probably been one or two people who have not been customers, but almost all of them have almost all of them are customers. And some of them are day one customers, some have come later, have been like, I think someone who's providing feedback bought a Newt, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks ago. So it's anyway, it's been good.
Have you had any negative have you had any people being douches to you? Or people being good?
No, I think they've been good. I think the thing that's the hardest is that there are times when there's a true defect that it takes time for me to solve. Like
yeah,
one person is the way Newt works. Like I can't easily have you as a user put your location in, because if I use zip code, it's different. Like it's 5 digits in the US, in the UK it's like 6, and some are letters, and Canada, I think they're all different. So I can't code for all that. So that's why I use this geolocation. But a couple of people are like, hey man, like it's not finding my location. It's finding a location that's 30 miles away from me and the weather's different. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but I don't know how to fix it just yet, but I promise I'm working on it. So it's things like that I get a little, they're not mean about it, but I'm more like, I'm not,
It's that internal pressure.
Yeah.
I mean, this is your first product as well, so you've got to figure out how to, prioritize, and also.
Well, and then there's a balance too, right? It's a like Newt is an open hardware project.
Well, yeah, exactly.
But it relies heavily on its software. So how do you do, like it's just there's, I don't know. Like like again, Joey's been another like really good inspiration, because yes, Sensor Watch is a hardware project, but he's constantly talking about updates to the code, changes he's making.
You've seen his emulator. He's got a watch emulator. It's really good. Like, so you can write code for it on and it will update online. It's really good. I can't remember. Joey didn't write it. Someone from the community did. I can't remember who it was.
I'll look into that then.
It was really cool.
I love to do. I mean, I think the other thing is like how much, again, like being very, very real here with the community, right?
Yeah.
I love making Newt, but like Newt certainly is not the day job, right?
Absolutely not. Yeah, exactly. You can't. Exactly.
Yes, right. So at some point,
it's a side project for you.
Newt is a side project.
Quest.
Like, how much time can I devote to it? And then like, how does Newt evolve? Like, I think we could certainly make another version or two. I think there's some things that we learn from this piece. Like people have said, hey, if we did another version, I'd like a bigger screen. Here's some options. Like we're thinking maybe dual screen, actually, still keep a little power. We're thinking, so like an e-ink screen for static information, and a liquid crystal display. One of those not the LED display, but a liquid crystal display for time. So that gives you the best, that gives you the time, that refreshes as well. Anyway, that sounds good. But at some point, like I don't think Newt's going to be like Newt's not going to be sold on Amazon. I don't think in like 5 years. That's probably not.
Yeah, you wouldn't make any money either.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Amazon takes too much of a cut.
Take quite a bit.
They do. And Timon says he's in the same boat, saying it's the same with Piunera for me. Like quite a lot of people assume it's my day job, absolutely. And he says that maintaining and developing the software around the hardware is really the toughest part once you're on the market. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And Tom said, for the record, I got to Darian via watching a Hackster YouTube interview, and now I'm hooked on crowd supply. Well, I apologize.
No,
I apologize for your wallet, Tom.
This is where I'll do the field report plug. So I've sent this to my users. Right? Yeah. So guys, like there is money to be had, right?
There is.
Like if you submit a field report and talk about a thing that you built or added or enhanced, like Helen could probably explain it better than me. And I've listed, I think in one of my notes, some of the things that I'd like to see. Like I'd love for someone to develop a 3D printed case for this. Like the community's been asking for a 3D printed case for it.
Yeah,
or if there's another API that we don't have, that you can write the code or even pseudocode for, that we can plug into the main piece. Like I think those are things I assume will fit in the field report rules.
Oh my goodness, of course. Yeah. Like, any of that sounds amazing. So a field report is basically a solicitation. Like we want to see the products that are on the site out in actual use. So if you're using it in a thing, or you've developed something cool for it, or you've made a little case for something, if you submit that to us with a couple of pictures and a little bit of copy, nothing too much, just a paragraph or so, you'll get a crowd supply credit. I think we give out $25 vouchers, and of course, we'll write it up and make it look pretty, and give you a shout out as well. So yeah, if you are doing that already, it's really worth doing, because you can definitely get some stuff for $25.
Yeah.
So yeah, please, if anyone's using it out there, please do. They're great for they're great for creators as well, because it's really nice to see your stuff be used.
Yes.
You know,
Absolutely.
I don't know about you, but like that's what gives me the greatest high as a maker, is somebody else using a thing that I made. I'm like, woo! Like it's really exciting to see it out in the world, you know.
So speaking of that, I told you I would ask you this beforehand. Like, so you were in Michigan
I was in
making stuff
Michigan.
and doing stuff. So
Yes.
I don't even know that I didn't even know there was a maker community in Michigan. Like I didn't know
Well,
that was
there
a
is.
thing. Okay.
So, well, firstly, so there's a guy who's a community editor of Make magazine called David Groom, and he runs a hackerspace in Ann Arbor. This has got nothing to do with why I was in Michigan.
Okay.
There are some hackerspaces I know there's a hackerspace in Ann Arbor called All Hands Active. So there are there are makers and hackers, there definitely. But I wasn't there. I was there for a residency with a bunch of other practitioners in the same. So like outside of working for Crowd Supply, I also have my own like hardware and creative practice. And one of the things I really like to do is experimental materials. So I did a whole week on furthering my skills in e-textiles.
Oh.
So I learned how to use a loom, and I made my own like conductive fabric. So like I was laying it out like a circuit, but on a tapestry essentially, which was really fun.
Interesting.
And I made a whole bunch of like garments and learned how to do. Yeah, there were like 20 of us. Some people who are incredible at tapestry, some people who are incredible at patchworking, and just people. It was like a week of skill sharing and so on. And in this like abandoned paper mill in the middle of nowhere, Michigan.
Okay.
Like it was literally a building site. Like I was wearing a hard hat and a high-vis jacket the whole time. It was.
Did you
while I was using like a sewing machine?
Did you have to bring your stuff with you? Did they have stuff?
They had loads of tools and materials, but I did also bring a suitcase full of electronics with me, of course. Carry on. I've gotten good at that kind of stuff. So yeah. That's what I was doing in Michigan.
Another story for another day. I tried to bring a maker project on an airplane, and they would not let me on the airplane. I missed my flight. They said there are too many wires.
You got to check it.
Yes. I realized that after the flight took off without me.
Oh, dear me. So what's next for Newt outside of we started talking about that. So we're outside of bug fixes and some new things. We're talking about like, what would you like to see? Would you be flattered or annoyed if somebody did a version?
I would be flattered if they. I think no one wants a carbon copy. Like it's just got to be better. And maybe one of the things I've been kicking around was like, I know there are a set of hardware things I would do differently, hardware things that would enable software differently. I should probably put that in the universe. I just haven't. It just hasn't been my priority. But there are 10 hardware choices that I would make differently now based off of what we're doing today, and I should share those. So I think if I did that, I'd love to see someone make one. And more importantly, what I really want to see. I would really love to see someone continue this kind of smart, low power Internet of Things display thing. It's kind of a niche thing, but I do like I like displays. I love
all of your projects are displays. You're like display maestro. When I think of displays, I think of Darian Johnson now, specifically in open source hardware.
Yes. I just think it's I just think they're neat. And as the technology gets better, it would be Tom, let me tell you, man. I started working on some of this, and again, too many ideas, not enough time. Because then you're like, which version of the tricorder are you using? Like the next generation? Or are you using like the original series, or even some of the discoveries? It's
TNG or bust.
Oh, TNG all the way.
I know that we're on the same page here, and we've had this conversation already.
Yes, we have.
TNG is the best. The best series. But I do like the idea of a Newt Tricorder, though. Oh my
I mean, I just think there's so much, like the technology is getting better. I think sustainability is a real thing. I think that we can do a better job of making materials that can be reused, or material, or just like, we don't have to have everything. Everything does not have to be plugged in all the time. Full stop. So anyway, but we'll see. So
I
I
agree.
love if someone made one, and I'll say for this version, and maybe if we maybe I think what I might do is design one new version, whether it gets made or not, I don't know, but I might design something like that. I'd love to be able to get the software built in a way where it's streamlined so that anyone can pick it up and modify it for their ESP32 whatever device. And I'd love to figure out a way to allow users to get some of their personal information on. Like if I can figure out that stuff I can take for my next project. Like what for whatever thing I build next, figuring out a way to safely OAuth to get other users users information in a way that is, non-obtrusive and is secure would be a win. I mean, for me and for the community, because I'd put it out there and people could take it and do whatever they want to with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it would really be a win. We're nearly out of time, but I did want to ask you how manufacturing and delivery went. Or
oh boy,
how was it? Because again, this is your first product, right?
Yeah,
how did it go for you?
I mean, I need to write up a thing about what I learned and what I would do differently in the
really do, yeah.
I'll say this. Look, the delivery was like, okay. I'll summarize it very very quickly. Look, the manufacturing was harder than I thought for a couple of reasons. Like, I don't think I factored fully in the amount of testing, the red testing, and the all those the testing things you have to do for certifications and all that stuff. I knew what it was. I just didn't factor in the price, the cost. So the cost was higher than I thought. I was like, holy smokes, like I'm going to make no money off of this, which is okay because I have a day job. So I think that would be one thing. I did it in China primarily for cost reasons. It was with I won't say the name, but they're a great company. I would work with them again. I think the challenge for me was that like it's 24 hours from my time. So like I've got to stay up late at night to work with them. And I think in hindsight, I don't know if I would do that again. And then getting it here was hard. So like, how do I ship it? But I've got to pay for import, like
and
all those things.
The tariffs as well.
Yes,
I really thought those 25% tariffs would be cleared this year. Like they were making noises in the Senate. They were like, let's repeal it. And then Pelosi went to Taiwan, and like, it became a political thing. I was like,
so all those things like probably caught like
still really
increased
expensive.
increased my manufacture cost. I didn't factor in. So if I had to do it again, I would probably do some things different. I would probably manufacture in the US, even knowing that the manufacture cost is more expensive, but I avoid the tariffs. I can do more real time. Like there's a great company in Georgia. I won't say their name, but
you can say their name. I've done a factory tour with them.
Yeah,
you're talking about oh goodness,
Cyber City
Circuits. Cyber City Circuits. Yeah, they did Joey Castillo's boards as well.
Yes, they did.
And actually, we've done 2 streams from Cyber City Circuits, one factory tour and one stream with Joey while he was there, getting the first ones of his boards. Getting his first boards made. So that was actually really interesting to see the whole process.
No, I think if I had to do it again, I'd 100% have those guys do it.
It is a bit more expensive, but it is a lot easier. It is a lot easier. And you don't get the tariff. Because that's a nasty sting.
It is.
25% is a lot.
Yes.
I mean, people do get their boards manufactured. They get them just the PCBs manufactured in China, and you can import that and then assemble it.
Exactly,
because that counts as transformation in a way that would make the country of origin.
That's probably what I would
USA.
do. Or maybe some partial thing. Like I had those guys do the and again, like the company Maker Fabs, like great company. They did really good work. Love them. Love doing stuff with them. Yeah. It's just the tariffs were not.
We got some questions here, which some comments here. So, well, first of all, George Hampton says, "Did I see a tattoo of a resistor?" Yes, you did. It's a resistor symbol, the American resistor symbol, and it's also a polyphonic triangle wave. So it's like got 3 things. And then Timon says, "Imports from China is definitely terrible. However, the know-how and speed you get in China is just
I'd agree with that. I'd agree with that.
And then Timon says something really interesting. Tariffs don't necessarily apply. I had no tariffs. So you're going to tell us how you did that there, Timon. There are definitely exemptions to the tariffs, and I think that largely depends on if your contract manager is good avoiding tariffs
Yeah.
or not. So, and it also only kicks in past a certain amount.
It does. And there was some debate about what's the price of this unit. And I was like,
Yeah.
guys, like if we lose this, like I can't, like these sharp displays are so doggone expensive and hard to get. Like it would be catastrophic. Like I'd rather pay the tariff and have, you know, like anyway.
Oh wow, we got our first spam bot offering.
Oh no.
Offering adult times. That's very exciting.
Oh,
that's an indicator of success. I've never had an adult post on the Teardown Sessions before, blocked, but well done. And then and says, have Mauser get the right HTTPS code for you is the key. Well, there we are. Mauser is useful, definitely.
Yes.
But yeah, but you've learned a lot from that experience. But you got everything out pretty quickly.
It was good.
Given that,
Yeah.
I mean, do you think you were lucky in managing to get all of the components, or did you have did you have any shortages that you had to deal with, or did you manage to get
really?
everything?
We managed to get everything, and there were only one or two parts that I was a little concerned about. The RTC was the biggest one, and we were able to get that, and I knew if I could get that, everything else would be okay. So.
Well, hence the ESP32s
That's
if
right.
you were here back at the beginning, you'll see pretty much all of the crowdfunding projects that are live now are either RP2040 or ESP32, because that's what you can get right now. So it's lowering the possibilities, which is great for anything else. All right, well, we've been speaking for an hour as last time. I don't know where the time's gone. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about before we head off? Any things you want to promote, or how do people keep in touch with you? Is it just the discussions?
The discussion board's the best way. Like I'm always checking it. I'm always gonna do my best to reply within a day or two. So that's always the best way. There's a contact form on the Crowd Supply site. That's another great way to contact me. That'll go directly to my email, and you'll get a reply back in a day or two. But yeah, the discussion board. That's where that's where we're talking, and that's where we're coming up with great ideas. So.
And that's where your issues are as well.
That's where they are.
There it is. There's the loop of death.
That's the loop of death. It's there. I promise, guys, I'm working on it. And just really just thanking you again to the community, the guys who were on the call, and the girls and guys. Who, we would not it's just been great having a community of people who want to work with you to build a thing.
It's fantastic. It's really nice to see, and you've got a lot of love within the community for this project.
Yeah.
It's a nice little device.
Yes, it is. It's nice little device.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, it is time for us to go.
Okay.
You'll be very welcome back on the stream at any time you'd like to come and give us an update, or just talk about Star Trek project.
The Newt Tricorders.
That's also fine. I like both.
Exactly.
I
like both. Yes. I got my Star Trek thing and my Star Wars thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, Star Wars is good and I enjoy it, but yeah, the Star Trek is definitely where I draw the most inspiration from. John Jackson says, thank you for touching on the lessons learned. Timon says, thanks for the stream. And Matt says, thank you, Darian and Helen, for taking the time to do this. You're very welcome. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And again, big thanks to my guest, Darian, for being awesome and hanging out with us. Tom also said this was great fun. I agree. It's always awesome. Fun. Always fun. And Leon says, thank you for the entertaining live stream. You're very welcome. I hope to see you all soon. There's no stream next week because we're moving into the new office, excitingly. But the week after that, on Friday, I will be coming live, assuming my new microphones arrive. I'll be coming live from SuperCon in LA, which is the Hackaday conference that I know a lot of the people here may have heard of. But yeah, there'll be a bunch of us from Crowd Supply going there, and I'll be interviewing makers and taking a look at some of the projects, and also taking a little dive into the Hackaday SuperCon badge this year, which is a retro badge, which I'm quite interested to try some technology from before my time. All fun. All right. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone, and especially Darian. I'll catch you soon. Bye.